Hello everybody and welcome to another live research video, this time for the fight between Dalcha, Lungiambula and Magomed Ankalaev, and I am just going to refer to this guy as Dalcha because I know that I'm absolutely butchering his surname and I don't want to be disrespectful. So Ankalaev, I believe, is the biggest favourite on the card. He is a 1.24 favourite, which if we pop that into the implied probability calculator is a 417 minus 417 favourite with an implied probability of around about 81%. So when we take a deep dive into this fight, just bear in mind that to bet Ankalaev, even to check him into your parlays, you need to give Ankalaev around about, I would say, an 85 to 86% chance of winning. And then if we look at Dalcha, he is obviously the biggest underdog on the card. Bookie's giving him absolutely no respect here. He has got current average odds of around about 4.25, which is plus 325 for an implied probability of 24%. So in order to bet on Dalcha this weekend in this fight at UFC Moscow, you only need to give him around about, I would say, you'd be looking at like a 35% chance of winning, 33% chance of winning, a 1 in 3 chance of winning, and I think this would be a very nice long-term profitable kind of bet. And obviously, with the way that mixed martial arts is, you certainly don't need to see a lot from a fighter in order to give him a 33% chance of winning. It's a crazy sport, right? Anything can happen. So I am optimistic that maybe Dalcha could be a decent underdog bet. My only concern is when I went back last night and watched his most recent fight against Dequan Townsend, he was not the kind of guy you'd want to bet on against a really tough, well-rounded Russian. You know, Ankalaev, one of these guys, very good at everything, doesn't really have any holes in his game, decent takedown defense, high-level ground game, decent technical striking, and there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that from a technical point of view, he is better than Dalcha everywhere. But remember, like Chael Sonnen always says, it is not the best fighter that wins, it is the fighter that fights best that wins. That is a bit of a tongue twister, but what we're basically trying to say is if every single fight in MMA, the best fighter always won, well, we'd all be very rich because it would be a very predictable sport. So with Dalcha being a very big underdog, maybe he will be worth a bet, and obviously we'll be taking a deep dive into some of his past fights, studying them together in this live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Diary of a Pro Gambler, to work out if there are any betting opportunities on this fight. So first of all, if we want to talk about X factors, if we have a look at Ankalaev, he is 6'2" with a 75-inch reach. Dalcha is 5'10" with a 76-inch reach. So interestingly, height differences, when there's not that much of a difference in height, if the reach is also roughly the same, where you see Dalcha here, even though he's a bit shorter, he does have a little bit of a longer reach. That actually means that even though Ankalaev will be a little bit bigger here, he actually has no statistical advantage. So size should not really be a factor in this matchup. And if we look at where these boys have been training, one thing that does concern me about Dalcha, when I scanned through his Instagram profile last night, and we'll take a bit of a deeper look into it together now, in terms of where he's training, I mean, no real clue at all, to be honest. Looks like he spends a lot of time traveling, from what I can tell in his pictures, but certainly no pictures really of him training at any notable gyms with any notable training partners. So is a little bit of a concern. I mean, who the hell is Dalcha working with? We don't really know. I mean, how long back in his career is this? Jesus. Okay, so we've already gone back 2 years in his career. His picture's from 2017, so we don't really know anything about Dalcha's career. In terms of Ankalaev, here we can see him chilling out with a lot of the Russians competing on tomorrow's card. We've got, you know, Ramazan Emeev here, Ibragimov, Rustam Kabalov, the main man, Zagit Magomed, Sharipov. We've also, of course, got Mark Henry here. But all those guys train at different gyms, so it's not like he trains with those guys. Here we can see Ankalaev with Fedor. Very, very nice. And here, do we recognize anyone in this picture? Ankalaev in the back there. Can't say I recognize anyone. What about this picture? This is actually Ramazan Emeev. So it does look like he trains with Emeev, who's also competing on this card against Tony Martin. Some AKA Thailand shirts. This is, what is this guy's name? The guy with terrible cardio, Ankalaev. I think he's a light heavyweight. He's in the UFC as well. Very, very bad fighter though. See Ankalaev on the left, Emeev here. So it's fair to say Ankalaev does train with Ramazan Emeev. We've seen them in a couple pictures together now. What about this one? Here's Ankalaev, Antigulov. No Emeev in that picture. Recognize this guy as well. Is that... Who is this guy? Is that Evloev? That might be... No, it's not Evloev. Is he competing on this card? My mind has escaped me. It has been a long old road, boys. It has been a long old road, back-to-back UFC events for a very, very long time now. I recognise this guy. Not too sure who it is, though, boys. Let me know in the live chat on Twitch who it is. Can't remember who it was. But anyway, Ankalaev trains with some decent guys. And it's fair to say Ankalaev's amazing, right? I'm all aboard that Ankalaev train. I always show you guys winning bets when I do these breakdowns. But let me show you a losing bet. If we type in on my website, Ankalaev, where are we? What event was it? It was Ankalaev. And if you're one of my members, one of my long-term members, and you are watching this, you'll probably start to develop a nervous twitch as I try and find this bet. So we did actually bet on Ankalaev in his UFC debut against Paul Craig, and he absolutely dominated that fight and lost in the final second. It was actually the fastest tap to a triangle choke I think I've ever seen. It was a very, very bizarre ending. So that was a losing bet for me, but I am definitely all aboard the Ankalaev train. I think he's absolutely amazing. And it's a very, very tough fight for Dalcha. I watched Dalcha's UFC debut against Dequan Townsend, and I don't ever want to be too harsh on a fighter because they never show their best when it's their debut. But this guy, from a technical point of view, in every single aspect of MMA, apart from judo, he's very low level. Does everything with power, athleticism, and explosion. Very low level ground game, very low level striking, low level everything really. But he does have explosive judo takedowns and he does hit very hard because he's a big, strong, powerful, athletic guy. But yeah, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that Ankalaev's better than this guy everywhere, based on his UFC debut against Dequan Townsend. And I'm guessing that's a big part of the reason why Ankalaev is the biggest favourite on the card. Now, will Dalcha look a lot better in these fights from back in EFC? He was the EFC light heavyweight champion, I believe, for quite a while. So we're going to go back and watch these fights now, see what he brings to the table, and work out if there's any decent betting opportunities here. And as ever, guys, if you are watching this after the fact on YouTube, please hit the like button and also subscribe. If you're watching this live on Twitch, if you've got any questions throughout the tape study part of this live stream, please drop them in Twitch and I will answer them as we go. And I'm going to be live streaming a lot today, guys. My plan is I've got to pick my son up from school in about an hour and a half, so I'm going to try and get through researching this fight now. Then I'm also going to try and live stream my research straight away for the fight between Carl Robertson and Roman Kopylov. So let's try and get through that. Get through these two fights really quickly, and then I'm going to take a little break while I upload the videos to YouTube, and then I will be back and I'm going to live stream my entire research process all night for Bellator 233. So if you're interested in betting on Bellator 233, which takes place in around about 12 hours, please get comfortable. Come back and join me on Twitch. I'll be live streaming for most of the night, and there are a couple of names jumping out at me on this Bellator card as good potential bets. So I would encourage you guys to spend some time tonight chilling out with me as we dive into these fights. Right, now let's go and watch Dalcha's last fight before he got into the UFC. This is against Andrew Van Zyl. Do we have any questions on Twitch? Nice one, Dr. Remalak. Cheers, mate. Nice one, Kieran, mate. Kieran's one of my elite members. Kieran, are you crazy enough to stay up with us and live bet this fucking Bellator card tonight? I can't think of anything worse. I really can't. I wish I could just go to bed and not bother. But we do have live betting on Bellator tonight. Kieran, you going to join us, mate? Or are you going to take the night off? Try and save your relationship. It's hard to keep a relationship, man, with the amount of events Bellator and UFC are pumping out lately. It's absolutely ridiculous. Alright, any questions? Wow. Lee Dosis just saying that Ankalaev opened up as a 1.57 favourite, which would be minus 175. Bookies doing their job well as always. No, I can't live stream on live bet on Twitch, dude, because that would just be chaos. That would be absolute chaos. Anyway, let's get into this fight. Dalcha against Andrew Van Zyl. Van Zyl in the red shorts, Dalcha in the black shorts. Let's see where he brings the table. I wasn't impressed with Dalcha at all in his UFC debut against Dequan Townsend. Don't have many nice things to say about him. But again, we don't need to see a lot to pull the trigger on a 4.50 underdog plus 350 underdog or wherever it is. We certainly don't need to see much. But here, just very early on in this fight, you can see him looking quite flat-footed. Yeah, interesting. I mean, when you look at a guy like Dalcha, the way he moves, the way he carries himself, you would be thinking that, wow, Jesus Christ, look at the overhand right he threw out there. You know this guy's got serious power, but what the point I was trying to make is, when you look at like a fast, explosive striker, like maybe a Carl Robertson, someone else we're going to be taking a look at in a little bit, high-level kickboxer, fast, explosive, you make one mistake, they will capitalize on it, and they will end your night with a kill shot. But Dalcha, the way early on in this fight that he's looking flat-footed, quite tentative, quite nervous, getting backed up against the cage, the way his opponent was just able to like walk him down and tie him up indicates that he's not the most comfortable, not the most natural striker. And I did notice in the Dequan Townsend fight, he kind of fought in bursts, where he would kind of do what he's doing now, just focus on defense, blitz forward every once in a while. If he had success with that, landing a takedown or a knockdown or something, great. If not, he would kind of ease off, go back to the center of the octagon. And, I mean, what is this? What is this? He was doing this kind of shit as well. You saw him a minute ago there, go for like a judo shoulder toss thing. Very rarely see that in MMA because it doesn't work, and you can see there, has to drop to his knees, totally unsuccessful. He caught Dequan with shit like that on a couple of occasions in his UFC debut. I would be amazed if that works, on a combat sambo guy like Ankalaev. Need to do a lot better than that against a guy like Ankalaev, for sure. So, couple guys on Twitch just reminding us that there's a big size disadvantage here. So, Dalcha is going to be fighting at light heavyweight this weekend against Ankalaev. And this fight that we're watching against Van Zyl was a heavyweight fight. The other two, light heavyweight and light heavyweight. So, Van Zyl has a bit of a size advantage here. But again, we can still evaluate the technique that Dalcha is bringing to the table. So far, very fast, very explosive, nasty overhand right. Crazy judo shit, though, that isn't going to work for him in the UFC. And it worked for him this time. Worked for him this time. Very nice. Judo throw straight into side control. And I mean, if you think about the UFC, there aren't many top top judo guys in the UFC for a reason. It's just because it doesn't work. You know, Van Zyl, don't really know anything about him. Never seen him fight before, but this kind of stuff's not going to work against Ankalaev. And even if he did get side control on Ankalaev, you just see that, you know, Van Zyl's been able to just immediately stand back up. Dalcha obviously doesn't have the heaviest top game. Ankalaev would be able to stand back up too. You know, Ankalaev's a combat sambo guy. Very, very good on the ground. Really, when it comes to grappling, Dalcha hasn't really got a chance in this fight. Dalcha's chance of winning is going to be if he can land a bomb and knock Ankalaev out, which obviously isn't going to be easy. You know, I've never ever seen a Russian fighter with a bad chin. But Dalcha clearly hits very hard. You've got to be very careful with a guy like this. Very fast, very explosive, very dangerous. But choosing to just chip away at Van Zyl in the clinch here. You can see Van Zyl's got a very big size advantage. Now they disengage. Now, if you look at a guy like Van Zyl, he's a big guy. He's also looking a bit tired here. Took a big deep breath as they disengaged there. You know, quite flat-footed, quite slow, hands down low. If Dalcha's that dangerous striking, you would expect him to be able to light Van Zyl up here and inflict big boy damage. And, wow. So, there we see some pretty bad takedown defense from Dalcha. As Van Zyl comes forward, easily gains control of Dalcha's body. Completes the body lock takedown, but Dalcha, with that great balance, great hips from his judo days, is able to stay strong and end up in top position. Actually ends up in side control, but again, are you going to be able to do that to a combat sambo guy like Ankalaev? Probably tells you a lot more about what Van Zyl did wrong there than what Dalcha did right. Have any of you guys watching on Twitch got a bet on this fight? Have any of you already bet this? Tumbleweeds, doesn't look like anyone's bet this fight so far. Ghostface Killer's thinking about taking the big underdog, Dalcha. Kieran's tempted to parlay Ankalaev, but can't find anyone to parlay him with. Hopefully, man, there's some big favourites on the Bellator card. Hopefully, we'll be able to find someone to maybe parlay on the Bellator card. Boogie's got 1 unit on Dalcha. Few guys saying Ankalaev is parlay material. Dalcha's definitely a little bit underwhelming. Not gonna lie. What do we get in this round 2 though? Another huge overhand right. How old is Dalcha? So he's 34, so you know, generally speaking, I mean, there will always be outliers. I'm sure guys are going to be like in the comments, oh, what about Daniel Cormier, bro? Yeah, there will always be outliers, but generally speaking, past the age of 33, I mean, heavyweights tend to peak a bit later on in their career, but past the age of 33, fighters don't really improve that much. They start to decline. Like 30, kind of like you build up to the age of 33, and then on average, after 33, the amount of testosterone in the male body, on average, there will always be outliers, but on average, the amount of testosterone the male body starts to produce starts to significantly decline every year past the age of 33. So you don't really see too many improvements past 33 as a general rule. So, you know, if Dalcha was like 30, 31, with this fight being over a year ago, I'd be like, oh, you know, he's got a UFC under his belt. Maybe he will have improved since this fight, but I doubt it. I doubt it at 33, to be honest. And in this second round, you know, Dalcha not even looking that dangerous here, really. I mean, Van Zyl stood right in front of him. You can imagine how Ankalaev's going to look. He's going to be moving well. He's going to be elusive. He's going to be technical. He's going to be throwing a wide range of strikes. Whereas Dalcha's just headhunting, looking for that right hand, and hasn't really got anywhere near it, as we're now 7 minutes into the fight. But shoots his own takedown here. Very, very nice. Awesome takedown defense from Van Zyl, though. Does a great job at clearing his legs. And again, poor takedown defense on display from Dalcha. Also giving his back up here. Very bad takedown defense again. I mean, I know he's fighting a big guy, but, you know, getting ragdolled to the ground twice here in this fight. Be interested to see how he looks in the other two fights we're going to watch from him against Stuart Austin, to see if size is really playing a factor here. I don't think it is. I think it's more of a technique issue as opposed to a size issue. So Appleman bringing up a real good pace, real good point. Appleman just saying that, you know, when you look at Dalcha, it looks like he's got those Joel Romero type genetics, but as we know, man, like Appleman's just saying, that type of physique, that type of explosiveness, it comes at a cost. And we know Ankalaev's got decent cardio. He could fight at a high pace for 3 rounds, whereas, you know, if you really make Ankalaev work, you probably slow down. Now, it'll be interesting to see what Ankalaev looks like in the 3rd round. He scored a nice trip takedown here on Van Zyl, but again, not going to be easy to complete these kind of techniques on a guy like Ankalaev, and he's giving Van Zyl a lot of space. I was just about to say he's giving him a lot of space to work back to his feet. He's just separated now, and Van Zyl had an opportunity to explode back to his feet there. But remember, towards the end of that 1st round, when they disengaged from the clinch, Van Zyl was looking quite tired, taking some deep breaths, so didn't really have the energy to explode back up there. Obviously, Dalcha, big, strong, athletic, powerful dude, starting to wear on Van Zyl here. Whitewash saying that he'd rather bet on Cater as the underdog than Dalcha. Yeah, based on what I'm seeing, man, I would agree with you for sure. Defo, man. Master by Jazz saying parlay Ankalaev with Roosevelt. I haven't researched that Roosevelt fight yet, mate. It's a bit annoying how we've got another fucking bullshit Bellator tonight. I'm going to have to jump on Bellator shortly and then get back to the UFC. I would like to jump into that Roosevelt fight. Appleman is just, I think Appleman just jumped in a few minutes ago, and he's just asking if we know where Dalcha's been training for this fight. So we checked his Instagram at the beginning of the stream, dude, and basically, like, we went back through 2 years of Instagram posts, which sounds like a lot, but it isn't really. He doesn't post that much. Oh Jesus, sorry guys, the dog is not a fan of the postman. Sorry about that, boys. But yeah, we went back through 2 years of posts from Dalcha's Instagram, and there's basically no training pictures, or like barely any training pictures. So we don't really know if or where he's been training. And Van Zyl just going to close guard here, just accepting being on the bottom really for the last 2 minutes of that round. Well, will we get going in the 3rd here? So the thing about Dalcha is, you know, when you look at him, the way he moves, how explosive he is, you'd assume that he'd be very dangerous. And I'm sure if he connects with that big right hand, he's going to hurt his opponent bad. But I'm not looking at this guy and thinking, you know, he could knock Ankalaev out. Like, of course he could. Obviously he could, right? But it's not like you'd bet him and be quietly confident that he's going to go out there and knock Ankalaev out. Because let's be real, Van Zyl doesn't move as well as Ankalaev. His hands are down low. And he hasn't really been put in any danger here in 3 rounds. You know, if Dalcha was just going out there and starching people, I mean, he caught Van Zyl with a nice left hook there. But again, Van Zyl just walking him down, hands down low, chin up high and exposed. There to be hit. You know, you're not going to get that from Ankalaev. He moves much better. He understands distance and the range much better. You're not going to get Ankalaev making those kind of mistakes. So what I was hoping for when we were to go back and watch these fights was to just see a dude that maybe wasn't the most technically gifted, but very powerful, very athletic. I was just hoping to go back, watch his past fights, and just watch him starching guys. And that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing a guy who comes from a judo background, very fast, very explosive, but isn't really that dangerous, in my opinion. Quite a low-level grappler as well. I mean, he had Van Zyl on his back in full guard for 2 minutes of the second round. Towards the end of that round, didn't really do any damage, didn't pass his guard. We're seeing the same thing here in this third round. Austin Adams just asking what Ankalaev's grappling's like. Yeah, Ankalaev will have a big advantage on the ground, man. He's a combat Sambo guy. I think he's actually like what you call I'm pretty sure he's like one of the most decorated combat Sambo guys ever. He's won like a crazy amount of titles. See if we can pull that up. What would you search for? Like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's a master of something. We'll just put master of. Let's have a look. He's like I remember when the UFC first signed him before his debut against Paul Craig. Like the people were talking about him being like one of the most decorated Sambo guys that ever compete in the UFC. So what's this? International Master of Sport in MMA, Master of Sport in Sambo. I'm guessing this makes him a total fucking badass. So yeah, he's going to be legit on the ground. Ankalaev first began training in Greco-Roman wrestling for 1 year while he was a student at the Dagestan State University. He is decent on the ground. I mean, the most annoying thing, like I showed you at the beginning of the stream, I lost. I bet him in his UFC debut when he was fighting Paul Craig. He was like a 1.40 favourite, and we know how bad Craig is. I watched his past fights and everything. He looked amazing on the ground. Obviously, he's got all these accolades, being a high-level combat Sambo guy. And then when he tapped, literally the fastest tap to a triangle I've ever seen in that final second against Paul Craig, I couldn't believe it, man. Talk about bad beats, but that fucking serves me right for betting big favourites in the UFC debut. But the thing about Dalcha is, even if Ankalaev's submission defense is a little bit shaky, possibly, but probably not, just got caught in a bad position by Craig, it's not like when Dalcha gets his opponents to the ground that he's threatening with anything. He doesn't look dangerous at all. Hasn't even managed to pass Van Zyl's guard, let alone threaten with submissions. So if it does go to the ground and Dalcha does get on top, Ankalaev should be able to work his way back to his feet without too much of a problem. And probably put Dalcha on his back. And Big Marley also bringing up another really good point. Obviously, look at this guy. Yeah, look at him. We've only seen him fight in the UFC once. Now he's starting to look a little bit tired as he backs up, taking some deep breaths there. His hands are much lower than they were in the first and second round. But Big Marley just saying that, look at this guy. Do you know what I mean? He's only fought once in the UFC. We really have no idea if this guy's built his career on performance-enhancing drugs. You know what I mean? Who knows how long he was in the USADA testing pool before his debut against Dequan Townsend. So he might come out on Saturday looking absolutely shit. He might look terrible. Do you know what I mean? If he's built his career on PEDs, which could easily happen, man. I mean, the best example I can think of this is... if ever you want to see clear how bad USADA can fuck someone, go and watch Ariane Lipski. I believe she's fighting next weekend, actually. Let's have a cheeky little butchers at that. I believe Lipski's fighting next weekend on this Brazil card, or soon. Is this next? Oh, she's fighting Veronica Macedo. That's a tough fight for her. Oh, she is. Boys, keep your eye on that one, man. Do we have odds for that? Macedo might be a decent little bet there. I bet some Euro bookies have got odds for this, even if they're not out. Oh, it says Priscilla Cachera here. What's going on? What is going on here, boys? What is going on? Who is Lipski fighting? Okay, so Kachera's out. Looks like Makedo's stepping up on short notice. I bet you the Eurobooks have got odds for this. They're always on the ball over the American sites. Let's take a look, see if we've got any odds. Makedo might be a very good bet next weekend. Remember, we hit a bet on Makedo. We had a winning bet on Makedo in her last fight. We bet, I can't even remember who it was against. Is it Polyana Viana? Yes. Yes, it was. We bet on Makedo in her last fight to beat Viana. She came through for us in a big way. And I have a feeling she might come through for us again next weekend against Lipski. Do we have odds? We don't. We don't, unfortunately. Never mind. But I was just saying, if you want to see how bad USADA can fuck someone up, go and watch Ariane Lipski in KSW. Fast, explosive, well-rounded, cardio for days, absolute nightmare. See her in the UFC, flat, basic, not particularly great anyway. Alright, boys, alright. Now, let's watch the next fight. Kieran is saying the Lipski's got the gas tank of a Peugeot. Yes. Right, let's watch Dalcha's another fight from Dalcha. So against Stuart Austin, kind of like a British wrestle boxer. Austin, nothing special. Let's take a look. Let's see what we get here. Will we see anything else from Dalcha? And then I gotta pick the little man up from school in like an hour. Do you reckon we can squeeze in this Robertson research in an hour? Let's have a quick look. How many of Kopilov's fights? How many of Kopilov's fights could we get through? Can we bring that up there? His fights have lasted quite long. Joe? 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 Could you pick Dan up from school? Can you pick him up from school? Alright, boys. Cool. We just got a green light. Sorry about that. This is very rough. The missus is going to pick the little man up from school so we can jump straight into this Robertson and Kopilov fight after. I was just saying, because some of these fights last a long time. So I just need to get green light off the missus. Let's go. Dalcha against Austin Stewart. Does Dalcha show us anything different in this matchup? To be fair, Dalcha did look better in his UFC debut against Dequan Townsend than how he looked against Van Zyl. But, again, not enough to really cause Ankalaev a problem. Now, remember, that Van Zyl fight was at heavyweight. So maybe Dalcha was carrying some excess weight. Maybe not as sharp, maybe not as fast as usual. This fight against Stuart Austin, or Austin Stewart. His name's Stuart Austin, isn't it? Yeah, Stuart Austin, got it the wrong way around. This fight against Stuart Austin is in his natural weight class, light heavyweight. So you'd expect him to be a bit faster here than in the last fight we watched of Van Zyl. This fight's from November 2017, so about 2 years ago now. So you would expect Dalcha to have improved quite a bit, but at the same time, doesn't look like he's training anywhere that notable. But we've seen him throw some leg kicks here, which is something he hasn't done before. Very, very nice. Not sure if leg kicks are going to be enough for us to pull the trigger, though. Oh, nice one, Robinson Canolis, for subscribing, man. Really appreciate it, dude. Thanks, mate. And again, boys, this sketchy takedown defense is on show here. Sketchy takedown defense. How did he get this? I was too busy thanking Robinson. Are you in work, Robinson? Oh, he just straight up, literally no technique, just straight up picked Dalcha up and put him on his back. We have seen enough, boys. We have seen enough. Look, we don't need to waste any more time here, do we? Let's get on to a more interesting fight. Kopilov against Robertson. So what I am going to do, boys, is obviously, you know, you're all big boys. You can make up your own mind. There's no doubt Ankalaev is significantly better than Dalcha everywhere. He should dominate. But whether you want to bet on Ankalaev as such a big favourite against a powerful guy, it's completely up to you. I mean, what I would say is, if I'm looking at this fight, there's no question Ankalaev should dominate, and I don't think Dalcha's that dangerous at all. What I would say is there's no way I would bet Dalcha here. I just think it's setting fire to money. You need to see more from someone to give him a chance of beating a tough, well-rounded Russian that's got cardio for days and that's great everywhere. The only thing that I would say, if you're thinking of banging Ankalaev in some parlays this weekend, all I would say is this submission against Paul Craig's always going to be a red flag for me. Like, I've never seen anyone tap to a triangle that fast, which may be like a slight red flag that if you put Ankalaev in a bad position, he might look for a way out very, very quickly and he won't really try and fight through it. Now, with his accolades in combat sambo, being one of the most decorated combat sambo guys that ever come into the UFC, that's unlikely. Combat sambo is very similar to MMA. I'm sure he's been in some bad positions multiple times throughout his combat sports career, but that loss, the way he tapped so fast against Paul Craig, was a big concern. He only had to hang on for an extra second and he would have won the fight like 30-26. He was dominating. So the only thing I'd be worried about here is if Dalcha was to catch him with something big and hurt him, is Ankalaev going to be tough enough? Is he going to have the mentality to fight through it? So just think about that when you're going to be playing your parlays this weekend, thinking of checking Ankalaev in a parlay. Something for you to think about. I'm probably not going to be betting this. The risk to reward ratio on Ankalaev's not great because you'd have to put a lot of money up to get any kind of decent return. I'm not seeing enough from Dalcha to want to take a gamble on him either. So that is going to be it for this fight, boys. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stop this live stream now and upload this video to YouTube, but I will be back literally in 30 seconds to break down this fight between Roman Kopylov and Carl Robertson. So don't go anywhere if you're on Twitch, boys. I'm going to be back in 30 seconds and we will smash through this fight. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will literally be back in 30 seconds on Twitch. Love you, boys. I'll see you in a sec.